A lot goes on behind the scenes here at the Ink Tank, so for the past few months I've been recording myself here and there showing some of the fun stuff while working on 5YL the motion comic. But over time I've expanded to showing off just about everything I got going on, including building my office, designing logos, making my Ben 10 breakdowns, and notably creating the latest episode of And Beyond featuring the fabulous Mike Pollock as Dr. Rabbitnik, the Easter Egg Man.
You blithering bucket of bolts! You can't portal here!
These diaries give an in-depth look into the technical and personal side of what it's like to make the content we do for the Ink Tank, most of which goes unnoticed by the public. Today's episode covers the weeks from February 25th all the way up till yesterday, March 19th. If you want to catch up on the first 18 episodes along with future entries, you can join our Patreon down below, but you don't need to watch them first to watch this video. There's no narrative continuity or anything. I'm just putting this one out for free to let y'all know what you might be missing out on if you haven't checked out our Patreon. We're also going to be opening up YouTube memberships soon too, where you'll have a chance to watch these episodes as well. So be it Patreon or YouTube, if you want to help fund projects like these, along with a ton of other fun rewards, like exclusive streams, input on our content, and access to our files, we'd love to have your support. But for now, the whole world can enjoy a look into the madness behind the scenes. Oh, and given most of our patrons have already read 5YL, there will be spoilers in this video, so be careful. So without further ado, let's dive in. Because there's so much dialogue that happens with here, and I wanted there to be a little beat between Lula's decision to leave Eve behind and then ordering Chirp to stay with her. I did draw an additional scene to complement that, which gave me some facial expressions to play with.
Whoa, kick it! Now go! Fine! Chirp, stay with her!
So in the last diary entry, I said I needed to get all my tasks done first before I continue the comic. It took me a whole week to put together this breakdown. It's super long. I needed a lot of references and footage for a show that's not easily findable online. In fact, I had to edit in a bunch of correction clips, and you'll notice if you're watching it, in every single one of these, I look different because these are multiple different days I've been working on this. Well, it's gonna be a good one. Honestly, I'm pretty proud of this breakdown. Like, editing-wise and the conversations I have with Crystal, I feel like this is one of the best breakdowns I've done, like top 15, top 10. I also finished the concept designs for what is now known as Timber as the new mascot for the RJN. Bruce is straight chilling to my side. And I'm pretty caught up in commissions, so now I can just focus. Oh wait, shit, no, there's still And Beyond. So I gotta edit the And Beyond episode next week. But then after that, straight 5YL. I really want to get episode 8 done. The anniversary is coming up April 3rd, I believe. I 100% want episode 8 done by then. I'm pretty sure I'll make it. That seems reasonable. So I'm rewatching Death Note while I work on making the ghost portal move, and check this out. It's the Omnitrix. Another example of pacing not working in the motion comic version is going from this panel to this panel. You can kind of just take in all the information with your eyes when reading it as a comic. But on screen I added some transitions. You see the portal activate, then open up, and show the portal. Then it's the whole Cooper climbs in and everything. Gotro slides in, merges with the ship, and then it takes off. So I'm currently working on new promo art for 5YL, but I'm taking a quick stop. Right now I am in call with Ryan. Say hi, Ryan.
Baba Booey. Hello there.
That's him. So to help try to speed things along, because the episode drops in 6 days, and you know how it is, I'm going to be doing a bunch of bunny clones and stuff on artwork just to help contribute to the episode. I'm going to be doing it based on this bunny design, which is named Rab. Yup. So here we go. Just doing more additional stills, trying to match Ryan's artwork to help fill in. So I have all these little bucks to play with, along with all of their trails mapped out. So what I'm doing is lining up all the frames to the path of each trail, for example. Then I have a mask that unfolds itself as it runs. Now the mask closes as he runs, adding motion to it.
You forgot to install the extraction lock that goes with the key, didn't you?
Don't forget temporal.
Fuck. You forgot to install the temporal extraction lock that goes with the key, didn't you?
Give it a little more sass. Like, he's really ribbing him for this.
Like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Fucking glukage. Fuck off. Okay.
So last night, Ryan and I were in the Ink Tank Discord in a call together. And it's like, and anybody in the Ink Tank can pop into the call. So Kellen came in, we were finishing up the episode and we were just bullshitting, you know? And honestly, I don't remember how. And I don't think anybody does. But somehow we had this joke evolve into where the last character, the dad that Ryan had a little part for, is going to be based on Eggman. From Sonic, and the character has lines, and then that conversation evolved into, what if we got one of the voice actors of Eggman to voice this character for a 3-line cameo? And we're doing it. So we hit up Mike Pollock. This guy's been Eggman for like 2 decades, and he said yes, he would do it. So we're having one of the most legitimate like representations of Eggman voicing our Eggman rabbit character. And what's funny is we can't, like, it would make the most sense to do some type of Sonic reference in the fast track section, right? But we already finished this fast track section. The episode, it's almost done, at least artistically. I still gotta edit and animate the whole thing. So we're finishing up the rabbit section, and now we're just like, we got Eggman. Eggman's the rabbit, and it's such a stupid joke. I don't know why we're doing this, but it's too funny not to do it. I'm all in. Thing is, though, we have to push the episode a week in order to get his audio, but it's also like, how could you not, you know? So in the meantime, I'm trying to put a little bit of extra work into the episode while I have it. I'm also making a tummy trouble breakdown so that the channel can keep its algorithms high, because we were gonna drop a video this weekend and now we're not, and I want the algorithms to be good when we do drop this Ambion episode because we put a lot of work into it. So I'm recording Tummy Trouble with Ryan tomorrow. Then I'm trying to polish up a lot of the characters. We're going to have the Eggman and his child, which is now going to be like a metal robot Sonic, a reference to that character. And they're going to have lip flaps. But Ryan also already did the art for the Hoaxstar ad in which Solid Plug speaks, and he doesn't have lip flaps. So I need to create a version of him without a mouth and then also detach this jaw so I can move it up and down and have him speak. Hoaxstar, I could technically get away with not doing anything because you never see his mouth, but I think I want to have the mustache flexing just because, you know, it'll look better. Now I'm just trying to trace the outline with a similar brush in order to cut out the jaw. Now I erase the parts I don't need, turn my red lines to black. Now I just move it upwards. And after filling in the parts that I needed to, we have a completed talking mouth here. Working on mouth flaps, and so far so good.
In a splash! Wow, this is both delicious and...
Now that that's done, I'm doing a squash and stretch pass, like having the hand come down and smack his head and rotate him back slightly when the hand pulls back. And then, of course, the coughing. I even have him vibrate a little bit on one of the coughs. Now I'm doing the hands, and I'm experimenting a lot with very cartoony sounds.
Are you feeling under the weather? Needing an all-natural...
So Ryan did make a Fast Track Splash logo, but in order to have it animated, I made my own version of the logo, but I kept the not officially endorsed joke on there. And this logo, I have all the different words and pieces so I can build it in the commercial.
Fast Track Splash Mineral Water!
Of course, we gotta close out with an end scene, so I'm drawing up some beautiful Blue Kitchen Dreba frames. So here I am, pulling another breakdown out of my ass to please the YouTube gods. One little editing secret that I do when making breakdowns is if I feel like I need a full quote just to make sure the context of what we're going to talk about is clear in a video, I'll take all the quotes but reorganize them to try to cheat the copyright system. For example, this is how this scene's arrangement of words is in regular sequence of the episode.
What are you, crazy? I'm a merc. You just returned me to the perks.
Then I edit out the minuscule but notable dead space between dialogue, reorder the clips, edit them slightly into each other, and you get...
What are you, crazy? I'm a merc. You just returned me to the perks. You just returned me to the perks. I'm a merc. What are you, crazy? Exact same context, exact same delivery, but with editing enough to beat the copyright system. It works... honestly, all the time. I can't think of a scenario where this didn't work. Okay, it's the end of week, and I finally finished the breakdown. It's a pretty good one. Now I'm trying to complete
a specific part of chapter 8 for the Ember scene. That's gonna be a whole thing. I might have to wait to shoot all the info for that later. But once that's done, because I'm putting together a pitch packet for Jake Neutron for that, then I'm gonna finally finish And Beyond next week. We do have the delay because of the rabbit, and plus you know, Ash and I are both getting kind of tired, so I feel like adding an extra week was like, we could have made it on time, but you know, it all worked out in the end in our favor. So right now I'm working on this scene, just trying to make it more eventful. I got a bunch of animated portals and stuff that I made during a Patreon live stream one time, so these will be flying throughout the temporal void. Now this is a page I am not looking forward to do, but I need to complete this in order to send it to Jake for him to do his thing, so I just gotta get through it. So first I got just the basic background, and I add the solar flare effects like the wave warp, the different growing paths of each strand of the sun, and you know, the brightness blinking in and out. I think I'm gonna have Crystal puppet Humongosaur, but for right now he's just gonna be standing there to make this shot a little more stationary. I turned off the sun effects just so my computer doesn't break as I do all these layers, but you can see Slampede. The Slampede fusion flies in, and then the little effect is glowing as he's shaking, just to give him more motion so I don't have to keep making him move around. But if you look closely, I did add some spit to Humongosaur's roar. And this is a subtle detail, but I always add a layer of like atmosphere just to like diffuse all of the blacks and the sharp detail the closer you get. And of course there's experiment 10. You can see he's fixed, but I added a little bounce to the dragon as sort of like a pseudo puppet effect without having to make Crystal go all out for this. Fire's also wiggly, blinking and growing. Then you'll see Kevin coming down at a curved path, rotating and shrinking. The physics on this are a little weird, but like similar to the Slampede, which I just turned off right now. As long as there's movement, it'll be fine, because there's gonna be so much going on. Now I got the accelerate trail, which is a little unfortunate because you can already see the ground shaken up because of him digging into it before he runs, but you know, that's just how it's gonna be. This is how it's looking so far. I added a panning to the background, and now that he's flying up, he's flying independently from the panning shot for extra depth. I even got Danny moving independently from his ghost trail. I'm even making my own custom slice transition. Hey Brucey Goosey, you here to help me explain how I do this Dreba shot? So I'm very proud of this. This took me a long time.
He could be lost in time!
And there is a ton of elements to it. Let me break it down for you. For this one, simple squashes and stretches, but you know, he blinks and his pupils move. And you can also see the intensity and the color of his shading changes from a slightly transparent, stop eating plastic, from a green to a very strong blue. And then when he switches, I had to do a whole bunch of different paintings of this because the mouth moves, but it's in a painted style, as well as keeping the same textures and shines on his eyes. His tongue vibrates, he moves, he blinks together, and then one at a time just to be extra creepy. There's moving lines under his eyes, and the actual texture of his eyes wiggle as well. It's hard to tell when he's moving, but you can see a little bit. His arms also raise, so it's very dramatic. So it's Monday morning and Beyond week. Episode's coming out this Saturday. I gotta get started like that. But in the script, all of the files match to numbers, but the files themselves are labeled by name, so I don't know what goes to where.
Ryan!
Here's a little test of Horace's time key. Honestly came out a lot better than I was hoping. Or at least I cut more corners than I normally would, but it still looks pretty solid. So I also modeled the initial chamber out of a Chrono Sapien time bomb just to mirror the similar technology. This is also the first time we're acknowledging that Horace's name is an acronym. So I'm having his eyes follow the words as they're formed, which is a neat way to draw attention to it. Fuck you, Horace, and all your goddamn keyframes. I'm so sick of animating you. Why can't you just come to life? This is exactly what I need right now. She will not get up or move, and I need to access that. I got my keyboard on my lap because she won't fucking move. So I got the run cycle that Ryan made for me. And to add some emphasis to it, I'm taking the cycle and, oh, let me turn this off. I added a motion blur and a lower opacity and also made it trail a little bit behind. And then I'm gonna have it be one frame out of sync with the main animation. So altogether, it looks like this. As for the looping background, I also added a larger canvas in the back that's out of focus, moving at a slightly slower speed to give it some depth when he's running. So Ash did this really cool thing where he provided me with layers of rock underneath for me to add the water on top of, and then I animate the water moving. And I can make the water have a different blend mode, so you can see the lake underneath. So there's a lot of water effects going on. I also added a darker brim around the border to make the cave look darker, and then on the rocks there's a moving water texture that's reflective of the water. And you can see the fast track is inside the water. There's a lot of masking going on. So for this part, the Citricaya is dodging a bunch of rocks.
They glare and reflects back into them.
But they just kind of disappear, and I don't have any assets for that, so I'm doing this little animation of the rock impacting against the wall to use a lot. I'm also doing one for grass too, because I guess my standards are too high now. So I'm gonna do the 4 moons now. First, I make it just move to different corner points around the globe, then have its size adjust accordingly depending on where it is on the map. Make the arch in between the keyframes bend so that it has more of a spherical rotation. Then add a rotation to the moon as well, just to give it more movement. I cut the planet's clip halfway through and drag it onto the bottom so that it passes behind the planet now. And now since I've done that moon and made all the end keyframes match, I can make it a loop. Now I can double it up, but I feel like there's the moons are kind of crowded, so I might do a whole separate animation for the final 2 moons. Now the second version's smaller and moves a little bit slower. Then I double both of them, and then there's the 4 moons. Hell yeah, brother! Now I created a variant for after it slows down with Horace's time key. Just finished recording with Mike. It went really well. It's super fast, honestly. It was like 3-4 lines. I just finished the rough cut of both Kinnet and Fast Track. Now I'm just waiting on the remaining Eggman assets from Ryan so I can do Polar Tempest. It's Wednesday at 2 in the afternoon. This episode's gonna be online in 3 days, so I mean, I definitely have enough time to do it. It's just, you know, we're always every using those are words. We're always working right up to the last minute. But hey, honestly, if we didn't do this Eggman thing and had to release it last week as planned, it probably wouldn't look as polished. So this extra week did give us enough time to make this look tip-top. Since Ash gave me the running frames, the ears and the tail all in different layers, I can animate them at different speeds to give them more animation. I also made a duplicate of it that's blurred out and at a slight frame delay for it trailing behind him. So I've made a bunch of looping backgrounds for this episode, and usually when Ryan wants a looping background, he just sends me something like this, which the artwork is great, but if you know anything about looping backgrounds, the connective pieces at the ends have to blend perfectly for the loop to be consistent. And you can see when I start duplicating the background, the edges don't line up. Now, normally an easy way to get around it is to just mirror the image, and then if you look at the ground, it's a perfect loop, and that's actually what I did for the first 2 backgrounds, but it doesn't work here because of the sky. So I'm just gonna duplicate it, and instead of having it right next to it, layer it over, erase with a big feather the edge of this one, as well as erasing the edges on each side too. Then I fuse these 2 layers together and add a motion blur across the background. Now I take this asset and I throw it into Premiere, keyframe it to go edge to edge. Now the trick here is you can't just copy and paste it, because if you do that, it's just going edge to edge over and over again. You need to do that, create a duplicate layer of it underneath, then take one of these layers and adjust it overwards, and just keep making sure it lines up. And there you go. Then add some edge gradients and some additional effects on top. Looks like I froze my computer. Now I put all those elements together, and it's like magic. Mike Pollock lip sync test.
Well, I think it looks great, my boy.
Thanks.
All right, I'm off to work. Gotta go fast.
Here's another small detail I do when editing Ryan's voice for Horace. Horace is a robot, therefore he doesn't need to breathe. So unless it's for a joke or to like enunciate some type of sentence or feeling, I edit out all of Ryan's breaths. For example, if you listen close, you can hear him breathe right here.
Forced momentum from their running to create an...
So I just edit that out.
Momentum from their running to create an...
But now it just sounds like an awkward pause. Let's just go ahead and take that out and...
Opposing forced momentum from their running to create an artificial...
Here's another breath.
In Polar Tempest's grip on space-time.
There you go.
In Polar Tempest's grip on space-time.
Animating the time crack segment, it's actually a very similar effect to what I did in Chapter 4, so...
Our universe collapsing.
Huh? Oh no.
It's all really good practice for the later episodes of the 5YL when shit starts going down. It's Monday again, March 11th, 8 a.m. Finally. Everything done. Breakdowns done. And beyond done. Other obligations done. Nothing but 5YL Chapter 8. Right where it's supposed to be, baby. Just some more little connective tissue things. I have Danny fly off screen here. But to connect more strongly to the following panel where he saves them, I'm reusing an asset from episode 6 of when he's flying away from Vlad and having that pop in the background just for a couple of frames right after he flies off. Which will then lead perfectly to right here. Fun fact, you can see the platform they're gonna land on directly below them in this shot, which is where they spend this entire scene. Also crazy how just a single panel like this demands all of this movement. Wow, I just realized how gigantic Kevin and Experiment 10 must be. If this is how small the other characters are in the exact same shot, I gotta shrink this down. To help emphasize Wrath's aggressive feline nature, I'm underlining a lot of Xander's dialogue with actual tiger roars.
Good. Then get the hell out of here!
Damn, looks like in the recalibrated version, I accidentally put the cloud behind Vlad. Can't wait to fix that. Also, I might do an alternate of him with just one head, so that you can see the transition between the two splitting. Because I originally did this lightning on 2 different layers, I can now have them grow in 2 different directions and speeds for some extra depth. But what you can definitely see is me just going freaking nuts, chopping up random parts of the lightning. And I delete various spaces in between where I've cut. And once the timeline looks like this, it gives you this rigid, choppy, flashing effect. Noxie's working on his own behind-the-scenes video as well and made these little cards for different segments of his display, and these look freaking sick. This part was a little tricky but fun, having the lightning push itself away in succession with the rod going upwards into the sky. So it's like it's moving everything out the way. So currently I'm out of my home office, but to stay productive, brought along some essentials so I can work on commissions while I'm gone. Always gotta stay busy. It's the 13th. Episode's dropping in exactly 3 weeks from now. I'm currently adapting page 36 out of 54, so less than 20 pages left to adapt. Should be able to get that done in the next week or so, which leaves plenty of time for Crystal and Noxie to do their thing, working on the Jake project, and all of the final polishing, in which there's gonna be a lot for this one. Oh, and advertisements as well, that's gonna be a thing. I also have to edit a drawing matrix. We're trying to put a drawing matrix out on the 30th. I should probably cut this from the video in case it doesn't happen, but fuck it. Also, I should probably explain what the Jake project is. So 5YL's anniversary is on April 3rd, right? And that was done to pair with Danny Phantom's anniversary. And of course, with April 3rd coming up soon, Danny Phantom's 20th and 5YL's 7th. Jeez. I want to get episode out on that day to like celebrate both of them. This of course is the episode where Ember shows up, who we have voiced by Elsie Lovelock, who also does numerous fantastic covers on YouTube. Seriously, you should go check them out if you haven't already. In Danny Phantom, Ember has this hypnotic song called Remember, which of course got a full release. So to celebrate both 5YL and Danny Phantom's anniversary, with the episode where Ember shows up, voiced by somebody who already sings immaculately and is known for doing covers, it just kind of seems like a no-brainer to do our own version of the song Remember and release it on that day as well. So yeah, with all of the ways things are lining up, it's almost impossible to believe that this was not on purpose. It just, everything lined up perfectly. It's kind of like, it would be a mistake not to do it at this point, right? There's gonna be a snippet of it playing in the episode, as well as a full version of the song that is being produced by Jake Neutron. And for those of y'all wondering about the Jake Neutron collab that I mentioned a couple of months earlier, no, this one actually isn't it. That's something else that we're working on, where if you're a patron, you can get more information, but that's also something that we're just doing when we have the time. We're not really rushing to get that out anytime soon. So of course, y'all know me. I put together a little info doc to send to Jake on how I think this cover should go. And hopefully I'll be seeing some results soon in the next couple of days. I'll probably drop some in the next diary entry. But yeah, this is gonna be freaking awesome. I can't wait.